Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of the Homey podcast. I'm Abe, Partnerships Manager at Homey. We're here with Emil.
Hello again.
Co-founder, creative director. We have a special guest today.
Steven, hey.
Steven.
Nice. Thanks for having me.
What do you do at Homey?
I'm a UI UX designer.
UI UX designer. And why are you here today?
Gonna show amazing new feature, dashboards. And we're gonna take a look at the after connection device pairing steps.
Yeah. So basically you do a lot of the design that you see in the Homey app is
made by me.
Is made by you. Yeah. So we're going to look at the Homey dashboard later. We have a sneak peek and preview, I would say. Firstly, I wanted to start with some smart home news. I think what we saw last month was Google did an event announcing some new Google Nest products.
Especially the thermostat.
The thermostat, yeah.
With Matter.
What I wanted to highlight. Yeah, it now supports Matter. Of course, you saw Tado a while back announcing their Tado X line that also supports Matter. But Nest is now joining as well, of course.
I think it's pretty nice that they both support Matter because, I did personally integrate both into Homey, the previous generations, and they both relied on a cloud connection, which works fine. But you know, if they stop, especially Google is of course a bit notorious for killing all products. So you never know what happens. So I think it's nice that these companies are also going into the direction that Matter is an option on these thermostats, and that they can also work with Homey even after they pull the plug. At least that's the theory.
Yeah, I think that is what I found really confusing is that Matter works over Wi-Fi. That is one of the ways Matter can work. But I always thought, okay, since it has a Wi-Fi connection, it still connects to a cloud. But just to clarify, Matter over Wi-Fi is completely local, right?
Yeah, that's completely local. Yeah.
So it just the device talks directly over the local network.
To Homey, for example.
To Homey Pro in this case.
It goes through your Wi-Fi router to Homey.
Yeah. So
and I'm not sure if these products have Thread inside of them.
Don't know that as well.
I would assume that the Nest thermostat has Thread because actually fun fact, the first generation Nest thermostat, like 10 years old, already had Thread inside of it, but it wasn't called Thread back then. But Nest Labs, which was later acquired by Google, invented the technology Thread. So it took a long while before it basically became Thread.
Yeah, Thread has been a while, like it has been around for a while now.
Yeah.
And, we also saw it before Matter launched. I think that's also something that a lot of people find a bit confusing is that,
Yeah, it's a bit confusing technology, but you could sort of Thread is more like Wi-Fi, whereas the language that a thermostat talks is more to Thread or to Matter. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's quite confusing because there's no direct comparison to it. Because most protocols, for example, when we talk about Zigbee, that's both the radio technology, so the Thread part of it, and also the communication protocol, like what you send over this communication, sort of the language that the smart home device speaks, and that's Matter.
How I always try to explain it to people is basically you have a language like English or Dutch. That's Matter in this case. But you can, for example, you can speak, you can send a text message, you can send an email.
That's a great example.
And those will be
it's like the audio waves between our mouse or the internet. Yeah, that's great.
So it's a language that you speak in the way that you speak it. And that's basically Matter versus Thread. Yeah, I think really exciting to see them launch with Matter. Of course, you can already connect them to Homey Pro by selecting Matter. I think something that we did a while back as well is we added Matter support for Homey apps so that it's easier to find, easier to install.
Yeah, that's true. And I think Eve Energy was the first app we launched in that way. And it basically builds on top of the Matter spec. So you could already connect these devices and on a functional level that works. But now you also have more rich information, such as a nice icon, for example. But also, that's quite important to many customers. You can find them in the App Store. So because it's really hard to know, like, will this device work with me? And then the technical people will say, yes, of course, it's Matter, right? But like more normal, regular people who are not into smart home that much, they just search the brand name. And then when it pops up, they're like, okay, so that works.
No, I saw that a lot of people searching for a device, they couldn't find it. We had that with Eve. They couldn't find their Eve products while they were supported through Matter.
Yeah.
I think a nice feature as well was that you're able to add pairing instructions as a developer.
Yeah.
So that instead of it saying, hey, put your device in pairing mode.
It's also always very obscure. Like, do I have to push this button like 3 times, 4 times, hold it, whatever. And now you just get presented with the nice prompt.
Exactly. And of course, we will also be able, the Tado X thermostat is already available or findable as a Matter device in the Tado app on Homey.
Yeah, it should work.
But we will also be able to do the same with the Nest thermostat, of course. Yeah, in the Homey app. And then I think the elephant in the room.
Is there one?
Is there one? We saw an announcement from LG as well. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
Last week, yeah.
I think last week, the ThinQ ON hub.
Yeah, the ThinQ ON hub.
Of course, we already knew about it.
I already saw some other people like posting. Yeah, they were probably working together for quite a while since they now already are launching this project.
So they're launching it in Korea.
Yeah.
First, I'm not sure if they actually want to sell it abroad, but they want to launch it at IFA, or sort of the announcement was tied to IFA, the Consumer Electronics event in Germany this weekend.
Yeah.
But it's the product has been in development for some time, at least as far as I understand, because we also sort of got in the middle of the development involved, of course. But what's really nice is that it runs the Homey Pro operating system next to some LG software, because it's a Korean voice hub. You can talk to it in Korean. But then if you want to control more smart home devices, then it utilizes the Homey software. Yeah. And it was a very smooth integration. We had to change very little on our end to actually make it work. And it's also for us, of course, a first that, our software runs on a different device. But it's really nice, at least from how it works currently. I haven't seen everything about it yet, because it's still sort of being finalized now. But it's a great example, and we really hope that there will be more devices, not only LG even, that can run the Homey software in the future. Yeah. And this being the first and being very sort of a breeze gives me a lot of faith in the future that we can work with other partners as well to bring the Homey platform to many more products and not only our own hardware. Yeah. I really see sort of a future where, and this is of course a bit speculation, right? But where we make sort of the Pixel phones, sort of the flagship product line. We set the standard, like this is the future, and then other manufacturers can look at it, a bit like Android, and then take that software and then put it in their products as well. So everyone should benefit from that. The manufacturers would, the customers would, because there is more choice. The price will probably drop a little bit. So
so Homey OS will be like the beating heart of the hardware.
Yeah,
and manufacturers can, hey, I like that software. I would want it in my products.
Yeah, but no definitive like decisions
but it
here.
Would be nice.
But it's technically very much possible, and business wise, it also makes a lot of sense. So it's definitely a nice future I see all going forward.
In terms of like of course, runs Homey OS, will also work with the Homey app. Anything we can say about that one?
So it primarily works with the LG ThinQ app, but it will also work with the Homey app. So you can open Homey app and then sign in, and then you should be able to connect to it as well. Cool. That's something that we have to test very thoroughly. But LG didn't really touch our software. It's more like a black box inside of their hub. So it should work out of the box, but there's always, some side effects that we should test thoroughly before we sort of enable that or release to the public.
They also have their AI thing going on the hub. What is that exactly? Like,
it refers to the voice assistant that has some AI sort of processing there, and they do sort of a hybrid of local AI processing and cloud processing. Yeah. And I know that they want to utilize more of that AI locally as well in the future on this hardware or maybe the next gen, depends on how it will hold up. Yeah. Because we have some very exciting ideas about running AI locally on a hub. Actually, I made an experiment a few weeks ago. It's available on our GitHub, so everyone can just
find
it. It's an open AI connection with Homey. So you sign in with your Homey account. You have to provide your own API key from OpenAI, but it's kind of cheap. And then you sort of can experience what it would be like if we had that running locally. And the commands you can say are extremely advanced. So stuff like
really cool.
It works really
nice.
nice.
I tried it. Yeah.
So it's just like turn off all the lights upstairs except the bedroom, and stuff like, all right, I want to turn on all the lights downstairs, but only after 15 minutes, something like that. You know, you can do so many advanced things. And it took me literally like 4 hours of development time to get this working. But of course, this uses the OpenAI cloud, which is impossible to scale to the amount of customers that we have. We would be like broke in a day. But we have to figure out if we can get this working locally on a Homey Pro
hardware.
In the future.
Yeah, since it also requires like a lot of processing power, right, to run
a lot.
Run an AI.
A lot, and a lot of memory and stuff. So the product price nowadays would be like hundreds euros higher. So it's not really something that we can do today, but the technology is going so fast that maybe next year or the year after, you know, I'm very hopeful for that it will scale down. So the models will become smaller and the hardware will become cheaper. So if those two sort of converge somewhere in the future, then we can finally make this happen locally. So privacy aware and locally.
Yeah, really curious to see where it goes. And I think as well, coming back to like the LG ThinQ ON hub and it launching in Korea, there are also the first Korean partners now on the platform. So I think we now have about 5 partners that are joining from Korea. So that's of course also good news for Korean Homey users.
Yeah, and for you as partnership manager.
And of course for me as a partnerships manager. Now the full credit here goes to LG. They did reach out to these brands. So really gladful that they did and they welcomed these partners on the platform. Which is, really cool to see more brands.
Question for you, Abed. Did LG so far help you with doing your job as a partnership manager?
Yeah, no, that's of course something that I touched upon, like, was it last podcast or either in the AMA? Don't remember exactly. But yeah, I know what really helps is that like the larger smart home brands, they can be quite difficult to get in touch with. Of course, these are giant companies with a lot of people. It's
a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's a matter of finding the right person. Who do I need to talk to? But no, LG has been a really big help in, for example, getting in touch with the Amazon team. So I'm
for Ring then.
Yeah, for Ring. But here in the Netherlands, of course, we primarily have the Ring products. In the States, they have a couple of more product lines. Also Blink, for example.
Oh, yeah.
So, we started talking about doing a official integration of these products and if that's possible and what it will look like. Also in touch with the Amazon Alexa team, since we, of course, do have a Amazon Alexa skill.
Yeah, that's also smart home news. It's now available in Dutch.
Yeah, it is available in Dutch. So I'm also in contact with their Dutch guy here in the Netherlands. And we'll also be enabling Alexa support for Dutch. So Dutch
it's
users,
quite trivial to add that. So that will be like...
It's like a checkbox you need to enable. Yeah. And that's also, I also saw a question in, I think it was on our forum regarding Amazon Alexa in Mexico. We'll also be, just had a chat with the development team. We can also enable it there. So and that's quite a lot easier now with LG helping out and reaching those big brands.
Nice, that's good to hear.
In terms of partners, while we're on it, EcoFlow is also one of the partners that we recently got in touch with. I think I mentioned it last podcast as well. But EcoFlow is now well on its way on developing their Homey app.
And what kind of products do they make?
Yeah, EcoFlow, I think they started as like mobile batteries. You know,
like for your phones and stuff, right?
Yeah, so it's like mobile battery banks and like these larger batteries you can take camping. But they also do solar panel inverters, solar panels.
Home batteries as well?
Right. Home batteries.
Okay.
So the current integration based on their like business API, and it integrates they call it Power Ocean. And their Power Ocean products are products that are like installed in your home. They could be heat pump boilers, solar panels, home batteries. And I know that a lot of people from our community were also asking for the EcoFlow devices. So
nice, good to hear that.
That's
one more energy.
So more energy stuff, and that's of course becoming more relevant each day. So that's cool to see as well. And that's currently being worked on.
Cool.
And then the last cool partner news is Govee. Have you heard of Govee? You know the brand Govee?
Yeah, it's like Philips Hue, but a lot cheaper, right?
Yeah. It's basically it's they sell the same type of product. So they sell You have Govee Lighting, which sells the lighting products like bulbs, smart light fixtures. But they also have like Govee Home, I think it's called, which are like panel heaters or humidifiers.
Kettles even, I saw.
Kettles.
Smart kettles.
Yeah, we saw them at CES as well.
Yeah.
Stephen was with us at CES. We saw them there as well. There was already a great community integration, but it was built on like an older API where you can only turn on or off devices. The new integration, still built by the same great community developer, put him in touch.
Nice.
He took the new Govee API, which also supports effects and that sort of stuff.
They have like this system where you can like combine them together and play music and create those light shows and stuff. It's really impressive.
I think they were one of the first manufacturers to add a microphone directly in like the connection box to the lights, so that it can listen to the music you're playing and sync it that way. Cool. But they also make like indeed the light strips around your television that you can sync up with effects, which is really cool. And I think the most cool thing about the whole integration is, and this shout out goes to the community developer, is he made it possible that for Homey Pro users, they can connect to the lights via the local network, so LAN, without any cloud. But what you see there is functionality can be a bit limited through the LAN connection. He made it also possible to add like effects and that sort of stuff to your LAN device via the cloud. So it just uses the basic controls. It does that via the LAN. And then for the more advanced functions, it relies on the cloud connection with your Homey account or your Govee account. And when the cloud drops out, you can still control your lights like
that's
basic.
Cool. Sort of a hybrid solution.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
It's like a hybrid solution for Homey Pro. And then for Homey Cloud users, it will rely on the Govee API, which functions in the cloud. So yeah, that was it for the smart home news. Up next, enough talk about partners. Let's dive into new Homey features. Emil,
I think our listeners' most favorite subject.
Most favorite subject. Can you tell us a bit more, Emil?
So we did a big update to the Homey mobile app, so the iOS and Android app, of course. 3 new concrete things among a lot of tiny bug fixes, but 3 things stand out. First one, I'll start with the smaller one. First one is Matter Multi-Admin. What is that? It's a technical term, but it means that if you have a Matter device that's connected to Homey, then you can get a QR code that another controller, such as a Google Home, Alexa, SmartThings, whatever, can scan, or you can just copy it, and then they can also add the Matter device. It's one of the best features of Matter, so you don't have to decide which controller to connect the Matter device to, but you can use multiple at the same time, and they'll stay synchronized. So that's really nice.
So, for example, if you have a user that's both using Google Home and Homey, he or she can add the device to both platforms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can, for example, use Homey as your daily driver for the interface or the app and automations and energy insights, and then you can use Google Home for the speech recognition. Yeah. Of course, you could already do that using the cloud, but now it works better because it's local.
Local on the network. Yeah.
So that's one. Second one is Homey Pro users can now enable in their settings, it's a switch where they get notifications if their internet goes out, or at least when Homey Pro disconnects from our cloud server, but that's usually when your internet goes out. And then after it's been offline for about 5 to 10 minutes, then you get a push notification like, hey, your internet might be offline. And if it reconnects, you get another notification again that it's back. So that's pretty nice. I was actually on holiday like last week, and my internet dropped 2 times. So I got one from my Unify router and then one from Homey. So it still works.
Oh man, we have power usages at home a couple of times, and my Homey actually notified me that the power was out. So that was really helpful to me.
It's pretty nice, and the third one is, and actually, Stefan, I know you also worked on this. Maybe it's more fun if you tell about this.
So after pairing a device to Homey, we now have a couple of new steps you can do after pairing it. So what I like the most often things you do when adding a device. So
changing the zone.
Changing the zone, for example, changing the name, maybe changing the icon, stuff like that. So these things you can do with a couple of quick steps after adding the device.
Yeah, took you actually a lot of effort to get this right. I know this because, of course, I looked over your shoulder. Because in some scenarios you add only one device, but in other scenarios you add like 20 devices.
Like a U bridge, for example, you get like 20 lights at the after each other. You can just go to it quickly or skip them even if you want to. But also a nice thing is when you add a device, it kind of feels like you unlocked something. Like you get a new feature, you get like a power. Feels powerful to get more like device cards.
I mean, you bought a device for 10, 20, 30 euros. You want to feel like,
exactly. Yeah. So you also get like this nice overview with like all the cards that have been added to your Homey by adding that new device.
So the flow cards.
So the flow cards. Yeah. So
it's really nice. You can like browse through them like a carousel wheel.
Yeah. It's like a really nice animation and stuff. And
it's really inspiring for like, what can I actually automate?
Yeah,
with
exactly.
This new device?
So
and there's one more thing that is personally my favorite. And we will see more of this in the future because developers have to enable this themselves.
Yeah.
But so the device settings can be selected by a developer. Like, hey, I want to show this after pairing. Yeah. For example, I know that Nuki, they make a smart lock. And that has a feature, but you have to decide whether to use it or not. Sort of when you unlock the door, do you also want the latch to be pulled? So in Europe, at least, that means that the door actually opens. It's not only unlocked, but it sort of slowly opens. And we got so many emails from our customers saying like, hey, I know Nuki can do this, but it doesn't work in Homey. And the answer was always, check the device settings. There's an option there, but they just didn't find it. And now, right after pairing, you can see the setting pop up like, oh, I didn't know there was an option. And now you can enable it instantly and then continue.
Yeah, so developers can mark a couple of settings that they want to get highlighted after adding a device.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
it's really nice. We actually did some time ago the same with flow cards. So developers can highlight flow cards because one device can have like 20, 30 flow cards even. But there are just some flow cards that are just better than others. And then
like for a motion sensor, one of the most used would be like motion alarm turn on.
Exactly. Yeah. Or for Sonos, like play a sound, for example. You can do all the stuff like grouping and stuff, but play a sound is just much more fun. Yeah. So we want to bubble that to the top of the list so customers get more inspiration. Like, oh, this is really fun.
Yeah. No, I think the first time I saw it pop up, of course, we do have testing builds internally, so we can test these features before they come out. I was really delighted. It was... my girlfriend was installing a light on our terrace, and she was installing it. She was like, "Yeah, no, there was this really nice like flow that I can select where I wanted the light and what name it had, and I can see what I can do with it." And
saves so much time because those are the things you usually do after pairing a device. So it's nice to have that like all laid out for you.
And my favorite, I hope that we can edit this in, but after you added one device, then and you're done with all these screens, you tap finish, and then the device pops up in your screen, scales up, and then bloop, it's there.
Really nice.
Just these small things that make me so happy.
Yeah, no, amazing new features, and one of the most anticipated features. The reason why we're all here and we're all
is it dashboards?
Yeah, is it dashboards? We already teased it, of course, the last episode, but we're here to have a sneak peek at dashboards.
Finally.
So for the people listening, if you want to see it, maybe switch to YouTube. You can see it there. But Steven here and Emil will walk you through what dashboards will look like.
Yeah, nice. So finally. It's the first time we show it, and it's pre-beta, so things may change, and it might be a little bit rough around the edges. But let's just go through it, what dashboards currently is, and let's explain some of the decisions about our design choices and the things we designed. So that's also, of course, why we invited Steven here. All right, so I hope this is now visible. What you can see here is a dashboard I made some time ago. And I made this to actually showcase the multiple features that dashboards has. So it might not be the most beautiful dashboard, but I wanted to show like sort of the things you can do with it, right? If you go from the top left, you see the weather. That's a widget you can add to it. And then below that, there's an insight that I have chosen. I can choose any insight, actually. I'll show later how that works. And then somewhat down there's a camera feed. And then if I go to the right, and that's where you see it's a column-based design. we'll go to that later about why it's column-based, because we think this is a really good solution. You can see my favorite devices here, my favorite flows, my favorite moods. You might recognize this from the home screen, of course.
Yeah.
And then to the right, there's a Plex widget. Like Plex, what does that has to do with Homey? Well, it's a widget that an app can make. So apps on Homey can actually provide you with widgets that you can use. So not only the widgets that we have designed are available on dashboards, but apps can also extend on that.
Very familiar to like how your smartphone works. Is you install an app and it comes with widgets that you can add to your
phone.
And we really want to sort of give the Homey developer community the power to create new widgets and make it, very nice for all the other users, because we've seen, they're so creative and they come up with all these crazy smart home and even not smart home things. So I can't wait to sort of give this to them and see what they come up with. But we made a few ourselves to test it, of course. And below that, it's an image, but actually it's a website widget. So you can put any URL in there, and then it just displays it on your dashboard.
We were just talking, maybe only for the Dutch people, we were talking about like one of the social media platforms we had in NLS Hives. Could you compare it to like gadgets on Hives?
Yeah, sure. Gadgets, widgets. Gadgets were similar. It was like it was an iframe, sort of like an embedded website. And this is actually the same thing.
Yeah.
I can actually show it to you. Wait, let's just show this first. So a dashboard can have multiple pages, and pages are the same columns again. And here you see a media player widget. So this is one of my Sonos speakers. And next to that is another insight that I've chosen. Before we dive into all the widgets that there are, Steven, would you like to explain why we went with this design instead of a sort of a pixel grid design, which we did start with even before Advanced Flow. We were actually working on that before Advanced Flow, but we chose to do Advanced Flow after all and sort of delayed.
Yes, of course. When you work with like a grid-based system, you really are creating like a dashboard for a specific device or a specific tablet and such things. But the benefit of having it as a row or column, so to say, is that you can just open your device on your phone, but also on your tablet, and it remains all the same on the same spot. So you can, for example, create a dashboard for your energy or for all of your speakers to control them. And no matter if you open it on your phone or your tablet, like big or small, it always has like the same position. You know where to find it. And that's a really great benefit of working with like columns.
That's really nice. In the meantime, I opened my iPhone here. Yeah. And as you all can see, I'm currently recording this so we can edit this in the podcast. It's the same dashboard. Yeah. But you can now see that every column is sort of visible at the time on my phone, because of course my phone is smaller. And we really wanted to let people make dashboards that they can view and edit from anywhere. Because what you say about making a dashboard for a device, there's a tiny amount of people who actually want to glue a tablet to a wall. Yeah. But there's a massive amount of people that want to create a dashboard for a use case. So imagine a energy monitoring dashboard with a lot of insight charts and logic and stuff. And then maybe a security dashboard with all your camera feeds, etc. And maybe one for the living room and one for the bedroom, you know? Actually, you can switch between dashboards if you tap here.
Yeah, so you can, it's not just one dashboard. You can create dashboard for different purposes.
Yeah. So you can add multiple dashboards, and within a dashboard, there are these columns with widgets inside of them. And because of these columns, we can show that on tablets and mobile phones. Because you can imagine if you have a pixel grid, let's say I made a tablet for this iPad, but it was fixed. So I put something in the top right corner, and it always is in the top right corner. And I open it on my phone. I have to sort of pan like a website if it's the 2000s, right?
It doesn't really work. It doesn't really scale at all. So this really scales. It looks really nice. It's always consistent. So that's why we went with the columns. Yeah.
And it absolutely, I think it works great. It's, got to be honest here, it's still a little bit rough around the edges, and we're polishing and optimizing like crazy. But let's just dive in a little bit, okay? So if I tap this pencil here in the top right corner, I'm trying to be as descriptive as possible for the listeners and the not viewers. You can see that all these widgets change to edit mode. And in this edit mode, you can actually just take a widget and you can just drag it and drop it somewhere on the dashboard. I think that's beautiful, and the animations are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I want to edit a widget, for example, let's edit this inside widget. You tap these three buttons, and then on the top row you can actually move the widget around. And then below that there's an edit widget button. I can insert new widgets above and below, replace it and remove it.
So you can just drag them, but you can also just use the arrows to quickly move them.
Whichever you prefer, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be more easier when working on your phone, since of course all the widgets are on top or
for like a big widget, it's easier just to
move it downward
or also moving them between pages, because you can see the next page dragging. It works, but it's not great. Because you sort of have to move to the edge, wait, and etc. So just tapping it once is just faster. So now we're inside a widget where you can edit the settings. And you can see you can actually toggle if you want to show the title or not. And the title always is displayed above the widget. You can edit the title in this field.
I like the force dark mode.
Yeah, should add a Star Wars icon there. But no, that's for Insight, because we think personally that Insights look better in dark mode.
But you have the choice.
Yeah, but now you can also show it in light mode.
Are you all dark mode or light mode users?
I'm team dark mode. Yeah.
Team dark mode?
Yeah.
I switch a lot because it depends on the app.
Yeah, it's same for me. I just have them all automatically change.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So this is the Insights widget, and every widget has their own sort of type of settings, which makes sense for that widget. So for Insights, I can actually choose an insight, so I can tap here, and then I can go to my zones, find a device. Let's see, you bloom, and I can see the power usage. So I can. This is just how Insights also works. When you browse it on the website, because you see the list, but we organize it here in the zones and stuff. Actually, let's just show the user. We also have apps, so you can all see all the power user stuff that our nerds love, and then you have the Homey stuff.
You can also
really
tap on the widget itself, and the insight will open fully.
Yep, that's very correct. So I think we're done here. Well, of course, you can change the period. So if you tap done here, and I tap on the inside, then you actually open the inside, and you can
get the full view.
Get the full view there. Same, of course, for stuff like device. If I hold press it, you can show it, and if I tap it, it turns on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the settings of at least the Insights widget. Let's see. Let's go to this one. So this is the website widget I was talking about. And here in Holland, we have a lot of rain, so this is a service.
Buienradar.
Yeah, that basically shows a map. But you can put anything in here, right? So let's see. Can I do a website here? Homey.app.
So maybe if a website.
It's a bit heavy website, so I hope it doesn't crash. Let's go back. Hit save. And then with a little bit of luck. Oh, look, and there's the Homey website. So that's really nice. It's not really useful, but you can put anything in here, like an RSS reader, iframe embeddable widget, or maybe some forecast data, or whatever you want. Yeah,
picture of a cat.
Picture of a cat, of course.
Love pictures of cats.
Or dog.
So let's see. If I want to add a new widget, let's go here. I can tap any of these plus buttons. Let's put it here. And now you can see the list of widgets that we have. So this is very interesting, sort of a sneak preview, of course. So for every category, you have multiple types of widgets, like favorite devices or devices that are in a zone. So let's say I want to see all the devices that are in my hallway. And then it automatically updates that. If I place a device later in that zone, then it also becomes there.
Yeah. And I also saw custom. So you also just be able to, let's say I want to create a plant dashboard with all my plant sensors.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're a bit lazy, you can still use this widget as well, and then filter by device type. So you can say, well, in this zone, there are only locks and others, I see, but I can just turn them on.
So, for example, if you have lights and fans, they will all...
Yeah, let's see if I can actually make that work. So go to, let's say, home. That should have most device types, obviously. Turn that on. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, I have to enable the subzones first.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was a bug,
No.
but it was actually a feature. So now you can see all the device types in my house. So you can see like, okay, I want to see all the lights.
Oh yeah.
So that's really nice to. So you don't have to, after adding a device, you don't have to like remember. Oh, I have to update my dashboard.
So if you have like a dashboard with all of your speakers and you add another speaker, it will just appear there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Same for flows. Favorites are custom. Moods, very similar to devices, of course.
Yeah.
And here are the speakers, but here you can like handpick one. And this is really nice because you have a large and a small version.
Yeah.
So what are the difference between our, Steven?
So the larger one actually has like a volume slider in there, and you can also do like the shuffle and the repeat. And the smaller one is just more compact and has like the most important options like pause, play, and things like that. So
that's perfect.
Pick and
so
choose.
You can actually, you can choose. I would probably make a speaker dashboard as well. Like you can see all my music playing throughout the home.
Yeah.
Well, Insights we demoed, so there's currently one chart type, maybe more in the future. Logic, I think we didn't show that yet.
Yeah, this one I'm really excited about. So you just have some variables that I sometimes want to check.
I love how nerdy you are.
Yeah.
So let's say I have these two. You can just select the variables and you can add the widget. And then when it's done, you can see the values, and when you tap them, you can actually change. So I want to change the text. I can just make it.
It's really convenient to just quickly, just change some things without going to your variables, opening them by hand.
Perfection.
This really brings variables to the next level, I think. So let's see.
I also saw, I think it was on the forum when someone was asking, hey, can I manage and show my variables?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
you can.
The perfect solution.
That's really nice. Batteries, very nice. You can see the batteries that are running low. So that's sort of the automatic one. You can actually select after which level. Yeah, we didn't really hold back with dashboards. And you can also show a selection. So you can select your battery device and you can just tap a few. And then you should be able to see their battery level.
Awesome.
So that's really, really nice. And then there's a weather widget. You already saw that. There's family and guests. So you can actually show your family with their status. Yeah. It's the same as that you currently have on the home screen. There's two timeline widgets. One with 3 items.
Yeah.
And one with how many?
I think 5 or 6. I think it was 6, actually.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. And then I think when you tap it, you see the entire timeline, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's really nice.
So that got moved around a bit, but you can still access it.
Yeah. And here's the web widget again. And on top, you see Homey and apps. And I currently installed one app. I didn't want to spoil anymore. So I had to uninstall a few. But this is the Plex app that I just showed you. It's my media center that automatically sort of shows what's added to my to my Raspberry Pi that runs my media. But you can see now, so this is the Plex app, and that has one widget. But an app can add more than one widget as well. And you have, of course, multiple apps that can have multiple widgets.
I'm so curious to see what the community will come up with.
Absolutely. I really hope that there's an app trash calendar.
Yeah.
I use that.
I think everyone here.
Please make a calendar widget. Please make a calendar. I will help you. Please make it. I want this. Also, I'll look with like an RSS reader maybe, or a Tesla widget. God knows.
Yeah. Sky's the limit.
And what is also really nice, these app widgets can also have custom settings. They're very similar to device settings, even a bit more advanced because you can actually add search fields here. Okay. So I select my Raspberry Pi, and the app developer can sort of programmatically say these are the settings, and then the widget can access the settings. So really, you can make
the limit.
You can make so many fun stuff here, and it's super easy to make these widgets because they're all small websites. Yeah, they're like very small HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the Plex widget I made without documentation in under 2 hours.
Cool.
So it's pretty straightforward and quite addictive actually to make these things.
Nice.
So this is really nice. Steven, what about the home screen?
Oh yeah, the home screen. So all these fancy things you're seeing right now on the dashboard, you can also do on the home screen. So if you go to the home screen, there will be an option there. If you tap on your avatar, with like the option to edit your home screen. And then there you don't have like the columns. So you have like one row at least on your mobile device, on your phone. But you have them on tablet, as you can see. And there you can also have like the same widgets you just showed, but then on your home screen and move them around.
That's really nice. So you can customize your home screen, and then you can also make even more dashboards just for various purposes.
Mm-hmm. So all the power you have mostly on the dashboard, you also have in your home screen. So that's really nice. Yeah,
awesome. And just what I was wondering, what would be when this feature? Of course, we already have access, but when the feature launches, what will be the first dashboard that you'll create? Steven, I think I'll start with you.
I think one that would be energy related with like my solar panels, and I think I have an electric car that could be also in there. So we'll use that. Yeah.
For you, Emil?
I'm also still deciding between an energy dashboard or I buy iPad minis for my entire home. Just glue them to the wall.
Put them everywhere. Yeah.
So, but I still have to do the economics of that.
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, I think for me, it's I'm a big fan of like the plant sensors, since I do love plants, but I'm not the best at reminding myself to keep them watered and fed. So I think like a plant dashboard where I can see which plants need nutrition or water would be really nice. I think that's would be a nice addition.
That's really nice. Well, while we're talking about when dashboards will come out, you can ask it, but I can also just answer it. Because
so when?
Well, that's the hard question. We're really working hard making this sort of ready for public testing, so beta. Fingers crossed, maybe by the end of this month.
Awesome.
We can ship it to our customers. And it's definitely not going to be as polished as our other beta software, but it has two reasons. First one is we want to get it out there to our customers because, well, one, they've been waiting for this very long. But of course, we just want to get their feedback. We want to know what they think of it, what kind of widgets they are missing, if they're missing features or stuff they do like. It's also sometimes nice to hear, what they do like and not miss. Mm-hmm. And secondly, we want to have the Homey developer community get their hands on the SDKs to make their own widgets, so that once we make this available to everyone, so out of the beta, that there's already a nice catalog of apps with dashboard widgets available. Because that's just really nice for the regular customers who get this update then, like, hey, Homey Dashboards is there, and these are some apps that have been updated with these nice widgets. So we can actually highlight those apps in our newsletter, for example, and on social media. Yeah. So it's going to be a bit rougher than maybe other features, but we feel this is so nice and so powerful, we just want to get it out of there. And in the meantime, our development team and designers will keep working on improving it. So that's really the plan. Also for the previous gen Homey Pro, so the white sphere.
Yeah,
that's 2019 and older. It will become available as a DLC. So we did want to make the effort to actually backport it to the previous gen Homey Pro. Pricing still to be decided, but it will be roughly the same as Advanced Flow was back in the day. So you can sort of look that up.
So it will work the same as with previous features that will backport it. Like,
you paid once, it binds to your Homey Pro device, and you have unlimited access to it. Yeah. So cool. That's sort of the plan.
Nice,
amazing. Yeah, really looking forward to it and using it and adding it to my smart home.
Yeah, I think it's really an enrichment for the entire sort of the Homey platform. It's nice because Homey can do a lot, but you can now put everything that it can do in one place, and that really sort of shows like, oh yeah, this was a feature, that was a feature we developed. Mm-hmm. There's so much in there, and now we can actually show it.
Brings it all together.
Yeah.
All right, and then on to the last section of the podcast. Last episode, we asked for feedback, questions from the community, since we, of course, want to hear what they are thinking about and what questions they have for us. The most liked comment on the previous episode was from Esben Ramussen. Sorry if I butchered your name there. But he says, thanks for the great session. A question is, why do we not have a universal RF app? So just for, I guess, for the European users and most users worldwide, you can use 433 megahertz in Homey. Unfortunately, not available in the States due to regulations. But why isn't there a universal app that control all RF devices?
That's a fun question. Also, that one that I do have a sort of decent answer to.
Awesome.
I hope.
Yeah.
First of all, it's very hard to copy and sort of retransmit a signal because it's like copying a key. You lose some information, and with these signals, timing is crucial. Like it's in the nanoseconds band that you have to do that. But it's not impossible. Actually, we had a Hacky Friday experiment where we did this, and it was actually pretty nice. Even the UI was very well designed, so you could just press the button of any 43 megahertz remote, and it would
pick up.
It would pick it up, and then search our app store for a match. So you could actually see the app icons, like, hey, this might be your remote, and then if there was also sort of a button under there, like it's not here, copy my remote, and then you get this screen where you could add buttons. So you press a button and then Homey listens, and then it sort of saves that recording in this button. And the thing is, it worked like half of the time because these remotes, it's old technology, 43 megahertz, and these remotes tend to shift their signal as they get older or as the battery gets worse.
So
the
the
frequency
voltage
actually, the voltage drops, the frequency lowers. So it's sort of the programming thing that people say is like shit in, shit out, right?
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's shit in, and then Homey can make anything of it, or it can just repeat it. But then more often than not, it works a bit flaky. And then there's also the problem that some remotes have something that they call rolling code. So every time you press the button, it actually transmits a different signal. It's like your car key.
Yeah,
it's a sort of a security.
I guess it also would work for like if you have like a garage door opener.
Yeah. That's the same. And those are typically the devices that people want to copy.
Yeah.
Because there is no app yet. Well, because of the encryption. So it's sort of the same problem. But so we did make this experiment. It wasn't completely finished, as in, it took probably a few more days to actually make it into a feature.
Yeah, since you just do we do Hacky Fridays each last Friday of the month, and that's basically a day where we can do
anything
you would like.
Yeah, as long as it has something to do with Homey. So it really varies what people do. But maybe we should just release this as an experiment. So it's sort of up
that
to the developer. Are you sure? Well, okay, sure.
Yeah.
You can try. I don't think it's the best experience, but it might work for some people, and I would say that's a win.
Yeah, so that people can just try it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
But I also hope that people understand that this is not our highest priority, because we'd like to make stuff that actually works and not work half of the time.
All right. Then we also got a question from Dirk G, also a moderator on the forum. He said a while back we had some issues with Z-Wave. I think it was on the Homey Pro 2023.
Yeah, just after release.
Yeah, with like too much traffic errors.
Mm-hmm.
What was the solution there, or is it fixed, or what happened?
Yeah,
basically
took a very big deep dive to actually find the problem there.
Yeah,
because what was pretty stupid is that we upgraded the Z-Wave chip between the previous gen Homey Pro and the current one, but the software stack is the same. So in theory, it was plug and play, and of course we did a lot of tests. But we never encountered this problem in the wild. And in the end, it was a bug in the firmware that runs on the chip, on the Z-Wave chip that we buy. So we don't make that firmware. Silicon Labs makes that firmware. And it was a bug that we found and identified. And they said, well, we have never encountered this. How is this possible? Well, what happened is that most manufacturers use something called ZIP. That's sort of a Linux daemon that they run on their platform, and that does the heavy lifting of Z-Wave. Mm-hmm. But we've always been doing Z-Wave ourselves to optimize it and to make it better for Homey, and also because it's scalable in Homey Cloud, because it's all in JavaScript instead of like a Linux daemon that runs on there. And their Linux daemon had a few hacks to work around this problem, and they didn't even know about it. So, but of course that didn't help us.
So probably someone internally there fixed it someday, forgot about it.
It was a timing issue.
Yeah.
So at some point, it's really complicated stuff, but at some point the microcontroller sort of locks up and then starts giving back these messages.
And it was mostly with like a lot of devices connected, right?
Yeah, it was when you send a lot of
timing is more
data and receive a lot of data. So
Yeah.
when there's a lot of traffic on between the Z-Wave chip and the Homey Linux SoC. So in that period, we called with them like every day, like, is this already fixed? Put everyone you have on this. And they actually did it, so they really helped us through there, but it took a long time before it was actually fixed. But by now it's gone and nobody should experience this anymore.
Yeah.
So it took a long time, but it's, it's hard. We don't control all the black boxes in our product because you have to rely on another company at some point.
As well.
And then, a customer isn't helped by pointing fingers. We just need to get this fixed ASAP.
Yeah. Next question, which I thought was very interesting as well, since I didn't know the answer. Oscar Deckers asked on YouTube, will it be possible to use the Homey Bridge with a early 2016 Homey Pro as a satellite? Since what you can do, if you have a Homey Pro and you want to extend the range of like Zigbee or Z-Wave, or of course infrared or 433, you can use a Homey Bridge to basically extend it.
Yeah.
Does it also work with the older models?
Yeah, I'm very sorry, but the answer is no.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. There is no technical reason why it couldn't work, but we have to focus on, going forward.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of work to make satellite mode work. Also because the architecture is very, very similar to Homey Cloud, which is sort of Homey Bridge was initially made for. And so it's just a feature that is reserved for the newest generation of Homey Pros.
All right, and then sticking to Bridge and the support of Homey Bridge, we also have like Matter and Thread. Of course, is now becoming bigger and bigger. The new Homey Pro supports Matter and Thread. Is it also something that will come to Homey Bridge, like to support Matter and Thread there as well?
Mm-hmm. So the current Homey Bridge does not have a Thread radio. It does have a Zigbee radio, but it's not really optimized for Thread. So
so it needs another physical thing inside of the bridge to work.
Yeah, exactly. And for Matter, it's a pretty heavy protocol to run. And Homey Bridge, of course, we designed it to be as affordable as possible. So it has a microcontroller in there that is not powerful enough to run the Matter stack as a coordinator. And there is software for this chip, for Matter, but it's all focused on end device, so a light bulb that embeds this chip, for example. So the current generation of Homey Bridge can't, but who knows what
for
happens
future
in the
generations,
future.
maybe, So it was basically, it could function as an endpoint, but there's not much you can do with a...
Yeah, that's not really useful for the people that want this type of functionality.
Yeah, no. Okay. Those were the major questions that I saw on the forum. Of course, if you have any questions in regards to a topic that we discussed today or just something that you're curious about, you can always leave them in the comments below, either, for example, the YouTube video. Spotify now also supports comments, I saw.
Oh,
that's also also a possibility. But of course, there's also the forum thread on the Homey community forum where you can leave any feedback or questions. And then I want to end with a big thank you to Steven.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I think it was nice as well for the people watching and listening to see and hear something from one of our colleagues and employees here who work hard on this project and the Homey ecosystem. So thank you for being there.
Thanks.
I hope you liked it.
I really liked it.
Cool. And then we'll see you next time in the Homey podcast.